Drew says, hey, you've mentioned a few times that only the Mariners are aware of the development of their own prospects. Assuming this is true for every team, how does this impact the trade market when teams consider trades involving prospects? Will there be fewer trades? Will the trades involve more proven prospects in the upper minors rather than the lower minors? Are certain positions going to be targeted more? How does this impact the Mariners situation? Good question, Drew. It does impact all teams the same, but what clubs are doing now is a little bit of basic info share, and there has been a little bit of instructional league cross-checking, so to speak. Just none during the season at the alternate training sites, zero. And instructs were cut short anyway. So at the end of the day, clubs are making decisions with less information overall, a lot less recent information, and pretty much zero recent objective information. But it won't impact much, and it hasn't, except how the decisions are made. Teams aren't going to make fewer trades as a result, but they're going to spend more time talking about the best way to assess the players involved. And Drew, you make a good point. Will trades involve more proven prospects in the upper minors rather than the lower minors? I think we've seen that happen. And while clubs always want that, I think we've seen that happen. I think we've seen teams go, you know what, I'd rather have your 26th man than this Class A shortstop. I'd rather have your utility guy. I'd rather have your backup outfielder. I think we've seen that play out already. So, and one thing I think pitchers are a little easier to project pretty much always. So maybe teams are going to lean toward arms in certain situations, but sometimes teams just feel good about the information they already had. I mean, hitters can change on a dime sometimes, so it's just more difficult, but I know teams have made trades without seeing a player in a year because they don't care what he did in Class A Wisconsin as a 21-year-old, fresh out of college. They know what they saw in college the year before and how they would try and mold that player. They don't give a rat's what happened in the Sally League with this player. If he had a $187 with a 38% strikeout rate, it doesn't matter to them. They know what they saw. So as long as he's healthy, what they saw in college is going to be the overwhelming factor in their assessment. Otherwise, I don't really think this changes a whole lot on the activity front. It's at least in terms of volume. You saw what happened at the trade deadline. Same story. But you're right. I think teams are they're I don't want to say they're avoiding. I think they're just focusing a little more on getting major league players or getting major league ready players, even if they have to take a guy with a lower upside. I think that's happened a couple of times. But the thing is, this may be the last period of time that we have to think about this. Hopefully it is. Hopefully to some level, there's a spring training for everyone. Big leagues all the way down to rookie ball, even if it's staggered. And hopefully there's a season below the majors, even if the minors starts in May instead of April because they had to stagger spring training. So hopefully this is the only period we're talking about that. But it looks like what teams are doing, because they know they're all on an even playing field, is there's a basic info share going on, and there was a little bit of cross-checking, which means, clubs got some information or gathered some information at Instructs, and there just was, teams not really helping out the other team, but, hey, you know what? This guy ticked up. It would be awful for the Detroit Tigers, for example, if the Mariners asked about Will Vest, for example. Let's say they were trying to trade him or trade for him. Let's say the Mariners were trying to trade for Will Vest, and they asked the Tigers, hey, as a courtesy, maybe teams are like, here, look, he ticked up a little bit. He was 96 nights. But I also know that there was a little bit of scouting going on in the instructional league.